Hello, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks and welcome back to my favourite time of the week. And as part of the Inspiring Leadership series, I'm really delighted to have Andreas Utermann, who I've known for some years. And Andreas just finished in January being the CEO of Allianz Global Investors. Had a very successful career in the investment world, and he continues to be an advisor and work on investments since then. But we've always had great banter when we've talked about leadership at events that we've done together. But also I've learned far more from him than he's learned from me. So Andreas, great having you on board. When you think about people who've been inspiring, and people were very kind that they said, look, you've got to get Andreas on because he really is an inspiring leader, but he doesn't know he is. He doesn't brag about it, he just does it. When you think about people who've inspired you on your journey, who would you pick out firstly as a sort of someone you've worked for, and maybe then perhaps somebody that you just have admired but you've never worked with them? What would be your first one?
I'd probably have to start with my mum.
Yeah.
I have a younger brother. When I just turned 12, my father died unexpectedly, and she had to essentially bring up one pre-teenage and one just about teenage boy. And she did a marvelous job at that. I think it takes a lot of courage to do that, which is an essential leadership quality. She analyzed the situation pretty well. She made sure that our environment, as much as possible, didn't change. She made sure that my dad was properly honored in the sense that she didn't really take another partner that would then sort of potentially become a father en lieu. She didn't think that was appropriate. I think that was absolutely right. And my brother and I have had successful lives with great families, and so therefore I think my mum and her courage at that time, she went back to work, she retrained as a teacher just to show that was an important part of, her life didn't stop. She wanted to achieve something and show us that was possible. So I think that was really, really an important person in my life.
Just staying with that, it's I've known you for some years, but it was only as we prepared for this that I realised that had happened for you, because my father was killed when I was 3, and so I've met a number of people who've lost a parent early in their lives, and it's been quite a shaping moment of their lives. As you look back, how could you reflect and say how that shaped you, that bad situation, but you made something of it?
Yeah, it made me certainly it made me grow up very fast, because I felt that I needed to to be sort of almost the head of the family. Obviously my mum was, but she needed somebody at her side to help her, and essentially that's what I then did for the rest of my teenage years. I also felt a responsibility towards achieving a certain amount of things at uni and in school, and also later on in my career, to make my mum proud. So I think it really impacted me significantly, and does to this day.
No, I think that's wow. Thank you. And who else would you in business? Who
In business, there are so many great leaders out there, but I think. And I'm sure I'm going to do a disservice to many of them by naming just one, because I only have the opportunity in this segment to talk about one person.
We can talk more about it in the next
But I'm somebody who really believes in redemption, the power of redemption.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the very first equity purchases I made in my investment career went very badly wrong. Right. It went extremely badly wrong, and it was so embarrassing. I think the stock went down by, I don't know, 60 or 70%. It was called Sexton Avionic, and at some point I decided I needed to own up to this, because nobody had called me out on it. And I went to my boss and I said, I'm terribly sorry.
Who was your boss?
Bob Michelson at the time.
Bob Michelson
at Warburg's Mercury Asset Management, later Mercury Asset Management, and he said, I know. And then he pointed towards a sticker which he had already got on his desk, because he thought he was waiting for me to come and own up for this. and he said, promise me. And the sticker said, promise me I'll never buy a technology stock again. and I was petrified about being told off very significantly, and that was not at all what happened.
Yeah.
And it didn't destroy my confidence in myself, because you need to be confident if you want to make investment decisions. Sometimes you get them wrong. And I thought that was so important, because there was no sense of retribution, no sense of, you're going to suffer from because you've made a wrong decision.
That's great.
And I think that I've taken that with me all the time, and remember that as a leader, that's really, really important, not to make people feel bad about themselves.
Yeah, it is part of your style, I know, in the way you're with people. And then sport and fitness and health has been a really important part. And you have a favourite sportsman, don't you? Who would it be?
Yes, I do. I think, well, I've certainly one that has inspired me greatly over the last couple of decades is Roger Federer.
Yeah.
Because he has played at such a high level. He has, by all accounts, has a very successful family. 4 children on the road with him and the wife. And he's also a phenomenal ambassador for the sport. And he also appears to be friendly with his co-competitors who have voted him, the sort of favorite player on the tour many years. And if you look at how he's managed to achieve that, and I think this is really this was one of the lessons for me as a leader as well, was that he was able to balance work life in a quite a unique way.
Yeah.
Many people, when they think about work-life balance, look at them almost as two sides of a different coin.
Yeah.
Whereas he looks at it two sides of the same coin, and he says the only way I can perform the way I do as a family man, as an ambassador for the sport, and as a high-level sportsman is if my environment, my context allows me to do that.
Yeah.
The moment my wife says I don't want to travel anymore, I will stop my career.
Wow.
And I think that's so important. I don't think you can do this on your own.
No.
You need to have a compact around what you do, and then you don't have, then work and life don't conflict with one another, but they're part one of the same thing. And
Brilliant.
I think it's so important.
And you've lived that yourself, and we'll talk about that in the Inspiring Leadership Extra part. The last couple of things that we've got, I'd be interested in when you made a mistake as a leader in style and substance, and how that shaped you now.
Well, I think one has to recognize that one makes mistakes all the time, as a leader, as a person. And I'll come to an example in a moment, but I think one of the most important ways to deal with mistakes is to own up to them oneself and fix them immediately, and that often works by way of an apology.
Yeah.
And not linger on it.
Yeah.
If you let it fester, it'll impact everything you do from then on. So one needs to be good enough and own up to it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't require an apology but a change of course, that's also what needs to be done. Be courageous about that and not stick with it even though you know it's wrong, but fix it.
Spot on.
Now, I think...
What was your story?
The story would be really a very simple one. From when I was relatively young, lots of people looked at me as a natural leader in school and so on, but and it sort of, I didn't really apply to become team leader of the European team at SG Warburg, for example, but it just sort of happened almost by acclamation.
Yeah.
There weren't any other candidates in that sense. And that has, whatever it is, natural leadership ability, whatever, puts you in that position.
Yeah.
But the skills you require and need to be successful in that are very different from being a leader of a larger group of people, multi-teams. And the first big learning in my leadership journey was to recognize that the skills weren't working at the larger level. And I was very fortunate that I had somebody who was in HR at the time who told me, Andreas, this is not working.
Yeah.
You need to get some coaching because you are going to fail as a leader. You're just not. And I was really surprised and taken aback at that. And then I took some coaching, and the coach asked me, "What do you want to achieve with this with this coaching? Why are you doing the coaching?" Yeah. And she said, "Write it down on a whiteboard, and we will revisit it in 6 months' time once we've done this block of coaching and once we're hopefully done." And we looked at it, and I sort of wrote it down, and then we forgot about it. And then 6 months later, she reminded me, said, "Do you want me to show you what you wrote on that whiteboard?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Let's look at it." And it's embarrassing because, but I had to laugh. I wrote on there, "I want to learn how to go into a meeting and get everybody to do what I want to do."
Well, Andreas, we must bring this to a close because we'll talk about this in the second part, because you now get people to do that, but they want to do it. But Andreas, thank you.
You're most welcome.
It's great having you on board.
Jonathan.
Always insightful comments. Thank you very much.